Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Caleb Kaufman with NorCal Physio, and this is Morning Mobility. 15 minutes of movement to get you ready for the day, to get you unsticky. Today, we're going to talk about that posterior lateral hip. We're going to talk about some mobility to get the hip moving better, and then a very challenging exercise that's really going to get the glutes burning. But this is a really good exercise to get that back pocket muscle working, great for a squat warm-up, or just get your day started right. So before we begin with the exercise, I want to go over something real quick on one of the specifics of the exercise. So we're going to be doing a modification of the pigeon pose. What I want you to think about though is, can you do this exercise correctly? Because a lot of people cannot. So there's a modification that we can do that makes it a little bit easier. So let's go over that real quick. The typical pigeon pose we do on the ground. A lot of times I see a lot of low back integration with that. So I like doing it on the box and really focusing on that hip movement. So the way I like to do it is bring the knee up and over just like this. So your ankle and your knee can be resting on the box. Keeping your back up straight. I like dropping down so we get that big, big stretch right in here. A lot of times what I see is that people are here. They can't get the knee down because the hip mobility is so horrendous. What that does, that puts a lot of pressure on the knee itself, and we don't want to do that. We want to do the exercise how it's supposed to be done. Otherwise, it's not really worth doing the exercise. So what we're going to do is a little modification with a bench. This is nice because you can incline the bench, decline the bench, however you need. But it's that same position, but you see how this is taking away some of that angle and stress on the knee. So even in here, we can drop that knee down and you can get a better stretch. If you're not feeling the stretch on the box, definitely get a box or something to lift that knee up to be in a better position. Cool? All right, let's get started with the exercise. I'm just going to get this bench out of the way. What we're going to need today is a thick band, a skinny band, a box or an elevated surface, and then a kettlebell is optional. First one is going to be a banded pigeon. So what we're going to do is we're going to step in the band. Get that band up nice and high, and then get into that pigeon position, whether that's going to be on the bench or the box, it's your call. This has to be pretty tight, so it's pulling you back. The goal is that we get the ball in socket here and that we're driving the ball down. So as you're here, let the band pull you back that way and just sink into it. So like all of our mobilizations, take between 15 and 20 seconds. If you want to do it more, I know you CrossFitters like to sit and talk before your class. This is a great way to sit and talk and actually get something done. So use this to your advantage. So that is that banded hip mobilization. The goal is to get the hip moving better. Unlike most things that I talk about, we want to do a lot of resistance. We really want to drive that hip back. Start off easy, get the technique, and then start increasing the resistance as much as you can. The next one we're going to do is a exercise to really focus on this muscle doing this motion. So as we go through a squat, a lot of times what we see is this. What we want to do is be able to drive the knees out and sink down. Be able to do that motion. So we're going to grab a band and we're going to put it around your knee. Come into a kneeling position, just like this. Hips pointed straight. Walk the foot out. Make sure you're not rotating at the trunk. Just opening up the hip. Go out as far as you can. A lot of times we try to go too much and we just get this nasty pain in the hip. So don't do that. Just here. Then your knee is going to be dropping in a little bit. So just pull it out, keeping the big toe down, keeping the trunk straight. Grab your kettlebell, and then you're going to shift the knee over the toes, just like that. Once you get into this position, you may feel a little bit of a stretch here, but I really want you to focus on that back pocket muscle working, doing all the work. Again, 15, 20-second holds. 15 or 20 seconds. Don't do 15 holds at 20 seconds. It's a little bit too much. Drive out. Move into it. Get that glute working. Cool. And just to make sure we got it, let's do the other side. If you need to see it a little differently. So on one knee, hip straight, walk out. My mobility here is much worse than this other side, so notice I'm not going as far. I'm not really pushing it, just trying to get movement. Here, knee out, knee forward as much as you can, and then hold that position. All right, super Simple, 2 exercises. That banded pigeon pose, if you need to modify it with a bench, definitely go for that. And this half kneeling hip opener with a band. Goal is to get more mobility, and then how do we use that mobility through that full range of motion? This is gonna be good for the mornings. It's also going to be very good for squat warm-up. So do this in the morning, set a timer for 15 minutes, run through these exercises, do it in a little bit of a circuit. When you're done, go about your day.